yesterday on the 17th. So y'all didn't hear me the first time. Okay, that's good. I grabbed the mic. And I had her great-granddaughter, the newest great-granddaughter, who was 3 months old, who came to the party and turned out. She wouldn't stop crying. So everybody had to grab her and try and calm her down. She refused to calm down, so her father, my son, my grandmother's grandchild, one of them, took her back home, where she immediately quieted down. She just wasn't used to seeing all these people at 3 months old, and she was letting folks know that she's the real boss.
Right. Okay.
But I was realizing that I'm blessed because I got a 3-year-old. On my knees, on my knees, on my knees. Y'all come on and join me. On my knees. Lord, please hear me. I'm crying out to you. I'm on my knees. On my knees. On my knees. On my knees.
Thank you.
Many times, to many different countries, performed for many different presidents and dignitaries. I had the pleasure of taking him one of those times with me. So, the real deal, Neil.
Yes, sir.
I'll explain.
All right.
There are a whole lot of guys living right now that can say that they played with Dizzy Gillespie when they were 16 years old.
Not this. Right.
Alex Blake. So this is history.
Bad man.
We talk about, he said, we are our history.
I say.
Yes, ma'am.
There it is.
All right.
Peace.
Let it be, we acknowledge that Alex Blake performed at Sister Barbara Ann Tears Repass, and I sang with him and Bob Cunningham.
I should We hope that you've enjoyed your musical instrument. I can see that Dr. Jeffries always has a very challenging agenda because the brother just knows so much. You know, and that's without exaggeration. I find that the older I get, the more I need to shut up because once I start talking, I just find it difficult to stop. Now, in most cases, that's not cool. But when you got as much knowledge as this brother has,
Rap on, brother, rap on.
yeah, when you got this kind of knowledge, it needs to be heard and it needs to be expressed. Peace and love to all of y'all.
Thank you for the music.
I really hope to be a part of the musical dynamic of what will be taking place here.
I say. Thank you for the
Happy New Year, brother. Happy New Year.
I know him as Billy. Billy Jacobs
Okay.
is the brother who has said he's a part of his family, and he's going to add his dimension to it. Let's give him and his partners a
All right.
Now playing together because I just saw them playing in Queens. Then there was a group that came out of your college. Young people playing their behinds off. And so, with this a part of the family, and I'm sure those young people want to be a part of, because we were so much a part of the City University that they will be, you'd be able to get them, Billy.
Yes, without a doubt.
And then we're blessed, because Randy Weston is a part of this family.
All right.
He just loved Dr. Ben and Dr. Hart. And there is a McLean component to the deal. Your local will introduce us to Jackie McLean. But then there was an honor and a fantastic presentation at the Schaumburg just a couple of weeks ago. So can you stand and give an acknowledgement to the McLean family. His mother was there. So once we get this thing moving, and we can put the traditionals with the great modernist, and then a conscious brother like Randy Weston, who went down to Washington last year when we were honoring our ASCAT conference, and he did a special tribute for Dr. Ben at Howard University as part of our ASCAT conference. Now, part of the activity that we're planning that will be happening this whole year is honoring Dr. John Henry Clark. This is his centennial. And so we had a beautiful thing at Convent Avenue Baptist Church a couple of days ago, and we'll continue to honor Dr. Clark, which will include a conference that will be scheduled in October. One of his organizations, the African Heritage Studies Association, has been renewed. They had a conference in Atlanta. The next one was supposed to be at Howard, but there's some funny things going on in Howard, so they said you've got to take it to New York. So it will be in New York. Can you imagine a gala event here, or the Studio Museum, or the Apollo, that involves these brothers and sisters that we can get to produce a fantastic fundraising for legacy. And so
the said store should be done.
they say name it and claim it. So I'm naming it and I'm claiming it. Africans are on the rise. The reservation, this year the AU nominated or named this year Pan-Africanism and the African Renaissance.
All right.
The rebirth of the African culture.
When I was in Senegal, underneath this great monument, it just shows the top of this monument. There must be 1,000 steps that lead up to the top of this monument.
Yes, sir.
Right, all of this that leads up to this. Underneath this, in 2010, they had a stage where we performed. It was one of the greatest cultural events for black people ever. It was not known here in America. Nobody talked about it. They must not be giving up their oil or something. But black people from all, if you want to just get a glimpse of what I'm talking about, you can go to We Trailer on YouTube and look at what was filmed from my perspective.
What, We Trailer?
It's called the We Trailer. Bill Jacobs Ensemble, We Trailer. And it will show this monument, it will show some of my travels and the various African diaspora, parts of the African diaspora that I got to experience, perform with, play with, and just have a tremendous, it changed my life. I heard a brother say tonight he had an experience that changed his life. It was a life-changing experience for me. Libation over there in the slave house was
at Goree Island.
At Goree Island. I got children there that I still support.
Okay, all right.
All right, brother.
Well, you can see that our brother is serious, and he's able to bring his support to be a part of what we're talking about. The last of the Renaissance, the last of the legacy projects is the Renaissance Monument. It needs to be known. We have footage of it. We may not be able to show it tonight, but we'll show you. You can go inside. Thousands of school kids sit on the steps in front of the monument while heads of state and others are doing our work. You can go inside the monument, and inside is the exhibit of our story, from the beginning of humankind through the great epochs of history, through the struggles of colonialism and slavery. I'm standing inside and they're taking a picture of me next to Marcus Garvey's son, Dr. Julius Garvey, and above our heads are the images of W.E.B. Du Bois, Marcus Garvey, Kwame Nkrumah. And so inside is the depiction of our story and our history. And it was put together by Cheikh Anta Diop's son and Cheikh Anta Diop's wife. You can take an elevator inside and travel 15 stories through the powerful thighs of the black man, through his backbone, his jet column, through his broad shoulders, and arrive in his mind and look out the world. Look out at the world. This is for us by design. And it's the best kept secret because this represents what we're all about. This represents automatics. A black man standing strong, upholding the African unity that he represents. But he can't do it without a wife. She's had 3 jobs to keep him going, even though they haven't been able to pay him for 25 years. She's worked as many as 3 jobs at a time. That's the rock that he's standing on. Why are they doing it? Not for themselves. They're doing it for the children. To honor glory represents the children that are being defended by our brother in the movement. So these are the things that we have to bring to life. This is the story that we have to tell. The brother Billy was saying what happens in front of, on the steps. I have pictures, I don't know whether Rosalyn was able to put them in her presentation, of me on the steps, in front of the steps, with Assemblyman Bill Perkins, with Dr. Ray Nobles, and with my wife. And we were part of a delegation of 40 or 50 people I was asked to pull together of the best black minds to be a part of, not the musical presentation, as Brother Billy was, but to be a part of a 2-week intellectual, unbelievable extravaganza. And so we have that for you. That's the type of material we have. And also we have you going to Gorée. We took leaders of Black America to Gorée, where your heart is wrenched by the slave circumstance there. And there's a door of no return, but it's now a door of return. Africa's asking us to return everywhere, in Angola, in Ethiopia, and in South Africa. It's a door of return now, Africa. But if we're not prepared to deliver for Mother Africa and Father Africa, then we need to stay here. You got to get prepared. You got to learn to save your money. You have to learn to use your skills for your people. You have to learn to reach out, even when people reject you. And you are experts at that. White folks have rejected you from day one when they snatched you out of Africa. They rejected you in the slave ships when you came here. They rejected you when they sold you from the auction block. They rejected you for hundreds of years, and you're still reaching out for white folks. Now, if you can do that for white folks, you definitely can do that for your kids. You definitely can reach out for your kids. Now, I don't like this one. He say he don't like Black America. I don't like this. He don't like people from the Caribbean. We're one family. But as Ray Noble said, Dr. Ray Noble said, we suffer greatly from a shattered consciousness and a fractured identity. Let's give these brothers another round of applause. We appreciate their contribution, and they let us know what can be done, and we'll have a larger endeavor in which we'll have those youngsters from your college. We'll have an old man by the sea on his piano, and he'll be doing his thing. And by the sea, he's by the ocean out here, the Atlantic Ocean, but he's married to a Senegalese woman, so he's serious in terms of the sea up there in Senegal. And so our brother, Randy Weston, will be a part of what we're doing. He's one of the most conscious musician who's an educator. Yeah. And so Randy needs to be fully appreciated. And certainly to have the McLean tradition attached, brother. Let's give him an acknowledgement. Now, one of the legacies we're going to be dealing with is Gil Noble. Okay. That legacy is in confusion because of conflicts. We have to straighten it out. 1,600 hours of footage that the brother put his heart and soul into leaving as a legacy brother. You know about the Robeson film. You know about Adam Clayton Powell. What's in your hands, black man? You know about the drug filming he did. He said that Jackie McLean saved his life by exposing him to what can happen if you make the wrong move. Gil played the piano in his home. He had his baby grand piano. And so we've got to make sure that the 1,600 hours where he captured us, because he had this large dimension of seeing us fully. He captured Dr. Baird, he captured Len Jeffries, he captured our sisters. We took him to Africa when ABC wouldn't give him a ticket. The ancestors gave him a ticket. Okay. Gil was down, depressed. His wife said he's walking around with his head down, he don't know what to do. He's not going to be able to go with. We took 1,000 people to Africa in 1970, in 19 1987, we took 1,000 people to Africa. That story has not been told.
Ashe.
And all the scholars went. Regent Sanford went. Not Akbar Muhammad. Wade Noble's partner went. Wade couldn't go, so we took Wade's son. He was the roommate of my brother's youngest son, Hassan. That story has not been told. 1,000 of us going to the Nile Valley to reclaim it. Dr. Ben had envisioned it in 1938 when he started making his move on the Nile. But he helped us carry it out in 1987. My mother was there. She started it all with my brother and I. And she was there. We have a picture of her in the great Karnak Temple complex. And she's got her two heart. Her heart was wrapped into these two sons of my brother. And there is a young Hassan, 12 or 13, with an older Hakim, 14 or 15, and they're in the great temple. From that moment, that was their rites of passage.
Ashe.
Just as Hassan had a rite of passage the year before with James's son. These youngsters have taken that spirit, passing through Africa, and have disappointed us in terms of doing what they need to do.
Ashe.
So when you see a Hakeem Jeffries, congressman, speaking for us, that's the young man who came out of the heart and mind of Rosie and Jeff. And they put something in him. You got to serve. He could have been a multi-millionaire serving a larger corporate structure. He said, no, I'm giving it up to go back into my community and serve. Who do you know would give up the potential of a $5 million to $10 million partnership in a major legal firm to take $70,000 as an assemblyman? That's a commitment.
Ashe.
And his younger brother is right on the money too. We'll have his book for those of you who come tomorrow at 3 at Clark House, but we'll also have it when we have our February Black History Month. Hassan scared me to death because he was doing his PhD on Lowndes County. Lowndes County is where they lynch black folks. Lowndes County is where you got Selma. And so he did his PhD on the struggle for the vote in Lowndes County involving the first Black Panther Party. And then when it was published, because he actually went with Rosin and I and took us to where he was doing his research. And he said, you're probably the only family members who will actually cover some of the ground that I went to. I remember that trip where we went with him. I was afraid. In spite of all the stuff that I've done fearlessly, I was afraid for him. A little young fellow roaming around in that territory, and some white boys in a pickup truck spotting him, and the rest could have been history. But he assured me, he said, Uncle Lenny, everything is cool. I got a relationship with the black sheriff. I got a relationship with the black leaders of the community. So, you know, put your little fears to rest. And then when his book came out, his PhD became his book. I got a copy of it, and my brother called and said, did you get your copy? I said, yes. And I said, it's fantastic. And Jeff said, well, did you look in the front of the book? I said, yes, and he thanks everybody. In his PhD, he thanked everybody, including Nubia.
Okay.
And Nubia was not his girlfriend. Nubia was his cat. And he was so together that when he moved from Atlanta and he had Nubia, and she was so much a part of his life that he gave her a little acknowledgement. When he was moving and he couldn't take Nubia, he sent Nubia up to Brooklyn to be taken care of by his parents. And Nubia finished her career in Brooklyn.
All right now.
So when the published book came out, and Jeff told me, look in the front, look in the front. I thought he meant look at all the acknowledgments he had. And what I noticed that they left Nubia out on that published acknowledgement. However, Jeff said, no, go in the first page in the book. And the first page was a blank page, but at the top, it had 3 words. To Uncle Lenny for everything. Now, you know it don't get no better than that.
No, it don't.
When your heart coming from your genes, meaning those Jeffries genes, mixed with Rosie's genes, Gomes genes, when your heart can acknowledge you in such a significant way and risk his career, because they ain't gonna let no Jeffries get through the world without anything easy. They're gonna make them jump through hoops. That's why Congressman Hakeem has to learn how to jump through hoops and then come out on top. You know, but we're proud of all of these youngsters who have made it through the processes we've laid out and then are still doing good study. Roots.
Okay.
Alex Haley's roots, nobody was closer to him than me. And Alex Haley's roots involved the book and the movie. The book was one of the greatest successes of its time, and the movie was. Hundreds of millions of dollars were made. But Alex, not getting advice from his older brother, who was a lawyer and wanted to be part of the Republican administration, his brother George, didn't handle his business because they had sibling rivalry. So Alex was trying to prove that he was more than just the white sheep of the family. He's the only one who didn't have a college degree. His other brother is an engineer, architect. One is a lawyer, trying to find a way in the Nixon administration. Without the advice of his siblings, his brothers, he signed a contract. And when Secretary Pat, his girlfriend, called me and said, Len, I don't know what to say. I said, what are you talking about, Pat? Usually I had to try to handle some of their boyfriend-girlfriend relationship. But this was not that case. This was the contract that Alex Haley signed, which Pat was reading to me. Alex Haley has signed over for $50,000 or $100,000 to David Woper and his heirs forever and ever, and their heirs. So the roots that we shook the world with, the African experience and the experience of trying to make it in America, is not part of the money generating for our people. Contract signed means that anytime you see roots, it is providing money for the other folks. So we've got to learn how to sign contracts and what contracts mean. That's why Dr. Flew is so important in trying to put these foundations and stuff together. You've got to do the right thing. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Yes, sir. The greatest example of our history has been prostituted because contracts were signed.
Oh, shit.
That's right.
That's why it's a part of the legacy project. We've got to put the truth of what Alex was trying to do. He was trying to search for our roots. He didn't even know what he was doing. He wasn't a political nationalist. He wasn't an Africanist. But history had, and the ancestors had put him in a particular place where he did the autobiography of Malcolm X. Dr. Ben wanted to do that. Dr. Clark wanted to do that. But here's this non-political person allowed to do the autobiography of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
And then somehow he got to, let's deal with my roots. They say that Malcolm's family might have even inspired him to do that. Because Sister Ella was interested in roots. And so here he produces roots. So a black man who produced two of the greatest books dealing with our struggle, dealing with our socialization, dealing with our history, died $2 million poor. Let me say it again. Having produced and been a factor in two of the greatest of our legacies, he died $2 million poor. because of the lawsuits he had to become involved in. Whatever money he gained from the film roots went into the lawsuits. When you have lawsuits, the only people who really profit are the lawyers.
Right.
On both sides. They don't lose in lawsuits. So we got to study Alex. Study that an unconscious black man could link us to Africa, to the village, to Kunta Kinte. And then show how we move through history to overcome our obstacles. And then be prepared to stand with Malcolm and produce his autobiography before he produced his own story, Roots. And who was in the middle of it? Whose name is not mentioned in the book? Whose name is not acknowledged? Is Leonard Jeffries and Rosalind Jeffries. When he signed over the published copy of Roots, he signed them to Rosalind and Leonard, my siblings. I had a $500,000 grant from the Carnegie Corporation to be Alex's partner for 7 years. And there's no record of my being involved. However, we got all the records, all the requisitions, all the memos we signed. And dozens of scholars that were put on the program, the Kente Library Project, to help us put the history out there. Camaralai from Guinea, Senegal. Akin Jobin, one of the great professors from University of Ife and Ibadan. The leading scholar in the Ivory Coast, Dr. Nyango Mbua, who has a 3-volume study of the gold weight system. Van Sertima, Jan Carew, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop himself was a part of the project. So that's the legacy that we've got to be able to clarify, support, and have it ready for our young people. And have it ready for ourselves. Because I'm saying, most of us don't know what my wife and I have experienced. And so it's not just celebrating 50 years or more together, it's celebrating legacy. Dick Gregory met us in 1969, after I had been to the Olympics when John Carlson and them were raising their fist. And I set up the Black Studies program at San Jose. And one of the visiting scholars was Dick Gregory. He met us, and within months he could read us spiritually. And within another month or two, he wanted us to take his children to Africa. Dick Gregory's oldest children, Lynn and Michelle, 11 and 8, went to Africa before Dick Gregory. And it was a glorious trip. But it didn't start at Kennedy Airport. It started on the West Coast, when we had a 3-week or 4-week study of Black America. And went from the West Coast, San Francisco area, down to Los Angeles, over to Houston, on to New Orleans, on to Jackson, Mississippi, on to Tuskegee, on to Atlanta, through North Carolina, Washington, D.C., and then to New York. And then we got on a plane and traveled to Africa. But before you could get to Africa, you had to go through Paris. So we were in the airport in Paris with 35 of us, including these 2 babies. And then there was this quiet, gentle breeze, which became a powerful force. And we were looking around to see what that was. And before we knew what it was, she was on us. And wanted to know who were these black people at the airport in Paris. And her name is Josephine Baker. And when she saw us with these babies, she said, well, who are these? And we said, these are Dick Gregory's kids. She said, oh my God, I knew them when they were children. Babies. Josephine Baker greets us as we're on this journey to Africa. And then once we got to Africa, you saw this music that we just had. It's a part of us. But when we were in Africa, in the mountains of Guinea, where the climate is temperate and the residential living there is wonderful, and another legend was living there. And I can just see her now in her hut, a 3-story thatched hut, being the roof for 3 stories. And she had 5 rooms, red carpeting. And who was this legend? Miriam McKee. And I could just see her walking out of the misty clouds to greet us, and she went crazy over the babies. So those babies who were vegetarians, and we thought we would have problem with them, trying to take care of vegetarians in Africa, they were a blessing. What does this represent? A Leonard Jeffries rising. That black man needs to rise. How is he doing it? Holding on to his rock, his wife. And what is he doing it about? It's about the children. That trip with the Gregory children is expressed in this symbolism that I have in front of you. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about legacy. And it'll be a wonderful thing for us because we can revise the First World Alliance, the community lectures that help to the organizations that we need to link up to the Caribbean and to Africa and Brazil. So you're about an important process. And so we invite you to all to be a part of it. We need you to help make some sacrifices to help make it happen because this is a beautiful place, this sanctuary, but there's a rental for this. And so, you know, this is a wonderful place and we would not like to be anywhere else but here because Barbara and Tia and the others, all of this was done by sacred folks from Nigeria. They actually went and got the real deal. In fact, we were with them, Rosalind and I, in 72 or 3 when they were in Nigeria, in Oshobo and whatnot. So there's a special something here for us. And so I'm glad that you're a part of it. But they got to keep the lights on, air conditioning, and the rest of it. So there's a cost. And so we can do it if we collectively do it. That's how we got Clark House. But Dr. J, how did you all get Clark House? Regent Sanford and the sisters know how to do things collectively. So they called 30 of us together. And they said we needed a $60,000 down payment, so each of us put $2,000 or $3,000 in. We got the $60,000 down, and we bought the house for $250,000. But then, even though we got the house, you don't own it, you own the mortgage.
Right.
You own the debt. And so Susan Taylor, another group of sisters, said we can't have Regent Sanford worrying about a mortgage. She's got to worry about how do we educate our children, educate our young people, educate the old people. So Susan Taylor and the sisters got together. They formed a group. You do it with group. They formed a group of sisters. And it didn't include Sister Soldier, but eventually I think she did make a donation. But they said we're going to pay this mortgage off. And so they put their plans together. You have to have a plan of action. You have to have people who know what they're doing. And they, one 24-hour period in Harlem, in the evening, you had Reverend Sharpton and Don King meet at Canaan. And Don King gave a donation of $100,000. The crowd gave a donation of $40,000. So they had $140,000. That's how money came into Sharpton's hands so he could have the office right down the street here. Within 12 hours, we were meeting again. At noon the next day, the sisters have organized a great event that included the musicians, that included a whole host of other people. Roz Abrams was the MC. The key person was Voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir? Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Patti LaBelle was the key. And we raised that day $250,000 to pay off the mortgage on our house. You can't tell me you can't do it. You just have to have the plans and you have to have the right circumstances. And so that's what we're asking you to be a part of. Now, my brother who's moving quickly through us, you have to stand, brother, so turn around and face your family. He's going to Where's your home?
Huh?
Where's your home?
Where you from?
Senegal.
Me? Where you from? I'm from here in Queens.
And what's your claim to fame?
I'm the administrative assistant of the African Poetry Theater.
What's your name?
Amir Benji.
Amir. This brother works his butt off and been doing it for years to keep the African Poetry Theater alive and well. Let's give him a acknowledgement. So I'm saying, if you connect the family up, you got all the possibilities of doing great things. Even knocking over the mic and pressing the So that's what it's all about. John Matusi Branch's African Poetry Theater is one of the legacy projects. And the work he did in the Gambia is one of the legacy projects. So we have to see the potential. Now, people spent good time putting together something for you to see. You've been fed well. Let's give Sister Isis. She said she could do it. In the storm, in the rain, she was convincing me with her team to do right by us so that you wouldn't have to run out and get a hot dog. And they got some new stuff out for you. They got chicken nuggets. What the hell is chicken nuggets? Chicken fingers. And then Minister Farrakhan was talking about something like pink slime that goes into your food. And his sister said, we're going to educate you. And she said, Dr. J, I'll prove it to you. I'm going to show you the goods. And she didn't let the storm or nothing deter her. How many people enjoyed the meal that you got here? That's again a manifestation of this enormous work. Brother Amir, tell your family at the African Poetry Theater that you represented. Brother Sekou, who is John Matusi Branch's son, he's the program manager. We have a whole host of us on the board trying to take care of business. So let's let this brother know we expect great things from him.
It's called not only in New York, but worldwide. It starts right here at home.
Hold it, don't leave yet. You can't just walk out. Along with Brett has an extensive family, and his legacy is so much a part of what we've done correctly. And he had a base in Harlem, in several places, but he made a special stop at the Harriet Tubman High School, Harriet Tubman School, junior high. And that's where his Patrice Lumumba Coalition and lectures and strategies were going. So he's got an extended family. This is his brother and his sister-in-law. So go well. The family has a lot of responsibility to maintain that great legacy of the life. So what Brother Amir was telling me that he knows all the difficulties in the theater. There needs to be repairs. And there needs to be a funding source. There needs to be a plan, a budget. And so we're working on that. And as we make it one, as we are going to make it one of the legacy projects, you will be aware of that. So brother, thank you for coming and representing. All right. Lots of love and much respect. Now, they said that there was some slides. Brother Reggie, what do we have on the agenda for showing?
We can show a little bit of speech.
Right.
A little bit of speech, and maybe you and Dr. Farr at the Bill Noble show.
What about the material that Rosalind had? Rosalind, should we show some of that you prepared?
No, that'd be for a bigger thing.
Okay.
John Henry Clark and Bill Noble or the poet?
Well, there are three things. The biggest court case in academic history involving our history was the court case that we brought that Attorney Fleming won for us. So they talked about showing up Parliament. But the key to that was also the Albany speech, where they used that speech as the means to attack us and attack the scholarship of our people. And then the court case also includes Holliston. But my wife did prepare something, but Rosalind, do you want to do that at a later time? Rosalind. Okay. So we'll let them get it together. Brother George, Rosalind's younger brother, the youngest brother, George, that she loved so and helped to raise. Let's give him an acknowledgement. He worked with us last fall or so, a year ago last fall, with a